Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this going. Let's get a 2022 fantasy football draft underway. Honestly, wasn't even really thinking about doing one today, but you know what? I was about to hop into one on my phone, and I was like, well, if we're going to get in a draft, might as well do it on the live stream. Might as well have some more fun with this. Let some people get in the draft with us. And of course, you know where we will be drafting. We'll be drafting on Underdog Fantasy. If you want to hop in this draft, make sure you just go over to Best Ball Mania. Enter. We're going to do the 30-second clock. Looks like we have 4 spots open. So please run over there. I'll grab the link if you need the link. I'd imagine that the majority of the people can just open up their apps right now. And yes, you heard this right. This is going to be Best Ball Mania. So it's going to be intense. We are going to be battling it out. $2 million for first, $1 million for second, and $1 million for the most points in the regular season. Of course, over the entire tournament. Yeah, if you win first place in this 12-team league, you get paid. If you win second place in this 12-team league, you get paid. We're going for the playoffs. We're going for that high ceiling. Looks like this league is filled. I am sorry if you were unable to get in, but I promise you, we are going to do over 200 of these this offseason. Probably more than that. I'm saying 200, and I'm being conservative. Y'all know we will be getting 4 5-hour live streams every single day once we get to August. And if y'all enjoy these enough, if y'all are going down there and smashing that like, hell, maybe I'll start doing these every day. I do truly enjoy these. I was talking about doing that on locals earlier. I was saying, you know what? I want to start live streaming these every single day. The thing is, whenever we're going to be doing like 5-hour live streams every single day starting in August for 7 months straight without a day off, I don't want to burn myself out too early, but I am ready for this. We are getting going. Christian McCaffrey, first player off. We are drafting at the 110 here. I don't think we've drafted at the 110 in Best Ball Mania yet. Okay. And I'm sorry, everybody, I can't send a private link to join the Best Ball Mania drafts. Of course, we'll have our own private drafts and everything. We're going to do over 200, and you get capped out of Best Ball Mania after 150 drafts. But with Best Ball Mania, I can't send a private link because then it would just create collusion. Keep in mind, this is a large field tournament contest, so I can't just be sending my buddies and going, hey, y'all mind if I just take Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill? Can you leave me everybody? No, it's not going to work like that. But you got JT, Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase going off the board in the first 4 picks. Very standard at this point. Very, very, very standard. Tyler says, can we get in a startup? If y'all want a Dynasty startup, I'll get a Dynasty startup going on the channel, the Dynasty channel tomorrow. But with Dynasty startups, we can only draft so many because, of course, it takes time managing. But with Underdog, with Best Ball, literally, I'm drafting this $25 draft. And if I don't want to do something else with it, if I never want to pull it up again, I don't have to. Your best starting lineup submitted for you every single week at the end of the week. So if you have a random player like Deshaun Jackson in years past popping off, he makes it into the starting lineup. Also, you're drafting 18 rounds, so no waiver wire. So that's why we're able to draft over 200 of these. I can't draft over 200 Dynasty startups. Can you imagine having to submit those starting lineups? Okay, but we have Austin Eckler at the 106. Don't know why we moved that up just yet. We can still see those names at the very top. And I'll get the link out in the general chat. The link's also in the description of the video. If somebody has not signed up for Underdog Fantasy yet, please make sure you go sign up. And on Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FLOCK and they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. You'll get our 2022 rankings. You'll get our Dynasty rankings. You'll get my 2022 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. That's over 130 pages. And it costs you $10 to sign up, and they'll match your deposit. So it's essentially free, and nothing supports this channel more. We are on the clock. I hate this selection here at wide receiver. Trust me, I was taking Devontae Adams over and over and over again at the 103 last year. However, with Devontae Adams, he gets the quarterback downgrade with Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr, and on top of it, he has more target competition. So instead, I'm going to quote-unquote reach. I don't care. I'm going to quote-unquote reach. I'm taking our guy. I'm taking Joe Mixon. I have Joe Mixon ranked much higher than consensus this upcoming season. This is a running back that should play in one of the better offenses in the NFL. My one concern is no longer the offensive line because they poured so many resources into that O-line. My concern is Can he play on third downs? Please, please. Can we get his receiving game usage up? Like, yeah, I mean, he's not Derrick Henry level pass catcher. It's not like he's just getting completely phased out. But let me pull up Joe Mixon's receptions by per season. I mean, remember, what's so funny is during the playoff stretch last year, they were using Samaje Perine as the third down running back in Cincinnati. And if you go back to 2016, 2015 at Oklahoma, Samaje Perine was the first and second down running back at Oklahoma, and Joe Mixon was the pass catcher. Joe Mixon can't catch passes. Like, if we go through his NFL career, 43 receptions his second season. He had 42 receptions this past year through 16 games. Maybe I'm just overreacting based on what we had during the actual playoffs. Of course, when everybody was watching Cincinnati with that run, I just want to see Joe Mixon on the field every single snap. I truly believe Mixon is one of the most talented running backs in the league, and we're taking him after Derrick Henry. And I will say, if you pull up my rookie rank, my 2022 rankings, you'll see I have Mixon ahead of Derrick Henry, significantly younger. Joe Mixon 25, Derrick Henry closing in on 29. With Joe Mixon playing in a better offense, has more receiving upside, and that offensive line is so much improved. Okay, so now we are going to be back up on the clock. I hate this range. You know what? Maybe we just go Tyreek. It's so damn gross, though. I was hoping we had Dalvin or Lamb making it back to us. When in doubt, if we're drafting 200 of these teams, we'll just take the player that's highest according to ADP. So let's go ahead. Let's take Tyreek Hill there. Please let me know where you would have gone. I'm really interested in hearing your opinion on that. Hundo Stack says, I want to see who the first rookie wide receiver is off the board. What's really funny is in my 2022 rankings, I actually have Treylon Burks as the number one wide receiver in a redraft league because of the situation, because he has Tannehill, because he has no target competition outside of an injured Robert Woods. Of course, if you're on our Dynasty channel, you're going to see on our Dynasty channel, I prefer Drake London. I prefer Garrett Wilson. I think they're better wide receivers. And for the long term, I'm taking the talent. But it's interesting. Right now on Underdog, you do have Drake London with a significantly higher ADP. Yeah, everybody says Tyreek too high. Big Lenny says Josh Allen there is a donation. Yeah, Josh Allen's been going in the second round, though. I mean, I guess if you take Stephon Diggs at the 109, I agree with you. I'm personally not a massive fan of it. Nearly. Okay, so it looks like the majority of people want Debo. Colin says, is Taysom Hill a tight end cheat code in best ball? Is Taysom Hill currently listed as tight end here? You know what? Thank you for that call out. A big thing with this Underdog format, and I know a lot of people are tired of hearing me talk about this because they already know this, but for the few people that don't, on Underdog Fantasy, so we are playing against each other in this 12-team league. Of course, as I already said, if you win first, you get paid. You win second, you get paid. But the first and second place finishers in all 12-team leagues in Best Ball Mania 3, then they go off to that playoff tournament. And it's essentially a large field DFS contest at that point where you have $2 million for first. You have $1 million for second, 500 for third, yada, yada, yada. So you need to have a unique team. You're trying to avoid having players that are duplicated. Like a lot of teams are going to roll into that draft with Joe Mixon and Tyreek Hill. This is going to be a popular combination for the end of the first round. But an easy way to differentiate your team is at the last pick, take someone that is not getting drafted in many leagues and has access to that elite level ceiling. So if Taysom Hill is listed as a tight end on here, and if I know he is pretty sure or like 90% sure he's just going to be a tight end the entire season and he's not really going to do anything for you. But if there's a 5% chance he does turn into a quarterback and you get to that playoff setting where you're in that large field tournament and you're getting 20 points from Taysom Hill at the tight end position, I love that call, my friend. I love that call. Nav says, yo, what about getting Nick Chubb there at the turn? I like the value with Nick Chubb at the 209. I mean, Nick Chubb was a player that we are roasting people for taking when they were taking him at the end of the first last year, but nothing has gotten worse with Nick Chubb's situation. Just people are finally realizing that Kareem Hunt splitting the backfield there in Cleveland. Like, I completely understand why people would have been excited about him last year because, as I've always said, Nick Chubb is one of the most talented pure running backs in the entire NFL, playing behind one of the best offensive lines. But it was crazy when he was going in the first round, when you had Baker Mayfield at quarterback and you were split in the backfield with Kareem Hunt. However, with Nick Chubb, now that you have Deshaun Watson at quarterback, what are we talking about? Why is he falling in drafts? This should be a significantly better offense this upcoming season. You have A.J. Brown making it to the 305, someone that needs to continue to fall in ADP. I'm taking Keenan Allen over A.J. Brown. This was a wide receiver being drafted at the beginning of the second, just last week before the trade to Philadelphia. Kyle Pitts at the 307. Let's pull up where we are going to be going. Okay, Mahomes falling. I was about to say, we got Tyreek Hill. Let's take the Mahomes stack. Of course, that's no longer viable. James Conner goes to the 308. Deontay Johnson at the 309. God, y'all know I'm not a fan of DK Metcalf. I would prefer, if we were ever going to take Metcalf, it would be in a best ball format that's half point per reception. I'm not going to do it. I can't take Metcalf. We're going to go Cam Akers. I know a lot of people don't like Cam Akers. This is a running back that was very bad during the playoff stretch for the Los Angeles Rams last season with Cam Akers. Yes, the efficiency fell through the floor. This is a running back that if you looked at his yards per carry compared to his teammates, Cam Akers was ineffective at the running back position overall. But let's put some context in it. He was, 6 months removed from a torn Achilles? He was dealing with a significant shoulder injury as well. You know, if they didn't have aspirations for that Super Bowl run, Cam Akers simply would not have played. And on top of this, if you look at some of the defenses that Cam Akers went up against, he was going up against some of the best run defenses in the entire NFL during that playoff stretch as well. He went up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We saw the Buccaneers consistently turn running back ones into players that you couldn't even start last season. I'm personally going to be fine taking Cam Akers at the 3-4 turn. If we go back to his prospect profile coming out of Florida State, keep in mind he just turned 23, maybe still 22. This was a running back that has 3 down size. He's a great pass catcher at Florida State. He was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school. He's all the pedigree in the world. I guess now we take Metcalf. Y'all know I don't like DK Metcalf. I kind of want to avoid players that I don't like because I know people that aren't used to watching our videos, or maybe someone that has seen me say I don't like DK Metcalf. They're going to get confused when I take him here, but it's the 4th round. Whenever I was screaming earlier this offseason how DK Metcalf was being dramatically overvalued, he was going in the late second. I can like DK Metcalf in the 3rd. I can like DK Metcalf at the end of the 4th. We'll take him here at the 403. I don't think we have that unique of a team, though. So quarterbacks that need to be on the horizon for us with Seattle, can't take any of these guys. Clearly, we can't be going out there and taking Drew Lock, even with our last round selection. I don't care if it's a unique selection with Drew Lock. He just simply doesn't have this ceiling. And also with Metcalf, you take him here, you're kind of halfway hoping that he ends up getting traded similar to A.J. Brown if the Seattle Seahawks don't want to pay him on a rebuilding team. Okay, Zach says, will you be doing night streams when we get closer to the season? Hard to get in here during the workday. Yes, sir. I promise you. Like I said, we're going to be back to those 5-hour live streams, getting 5-6 drafts going at night once we get closer to the season. If y'all want me, if y'all go down there and drop enough likes on the video, if y'all go sign up for Underdog Fantasy and we are getting enough signups, I will do this every single day. I will live stream these every single day. I want to. The issue is, if I'm planning on doing it for 5 hours a day closer to the season, I don't want to burn myself out. I would love to get these going every day as of now. Okay, Terry McLaurin goes at the 412. Completely fine with McLaurin if he's going after these wide receivers here. Y'all know I'm just never I'm going to be too excited about drafting Terry McLaurin. Kyler goes at the 501. Interesting to see Kyler Murray go here. I would assume that Kyler Murray would be falling further than this with DeAndre Hopkins missing the beginning part of the season. I wonder, if you take Kyler here as well, I don't think you're going to have the potential to go through and stack with Hopkins or Hollywood Brown on the way back around with either your 6th or 7th round selections. Jacob says, Mason, will you be doing a Superflex startup mock? Yes, I'll do that for y'all tomorrow on the Dynasty channel. Hollywood Brown goes right there. Yeah, like I said, you're not going to be getting... Ooh, sorry about that. I'm trying to minimize this. You're not going to be getting Hollywood Brown or DeAndre Hopkins back to you. So it's interesting to see Kyler Murray go there. I personally don't really understand it too much. Darren Waller goes to the 505. Love that value with Waller. Darren Waller is a player that I've consistently been avoiding in this range where he's usually going at the end of the 3rd. The reason for this, as we've said so many times before, Devontae Adams coming over, soaking up so many targets in Las Vegas. Zeke goes to the 506. We have a very balanced team. It doesn't really matter who ends up falling to us, if it's a wide receiver or a running back. Looks like the range of the receiver, but we'll see what ends up happening. Now, y'all know I would love me some Godwin here, but Godwin has an ADP of 47. I'd be surprised if he makes it. Ooh, okay. So here, MT, Mr. Revolt, is going to be going and taking Trey Lance, I'm assuming. The combination of Deebo Samuel as well as George Kittle. Okay. Godwin goes to the 508. Yeah, that should have been the expectation. Elijah Moore, I'm probably uncomfortable taking Elijah Moore here. Travis Etienne goes. Etienne would have been my pick. I'm going to go Hopkins. If you're playing in your regular fantasy football league, as I've said before, Hopkins is not a selection you want to be making here, given the fact that you could potentially just trade for him at the same price 3 weeks into the season. But here, if we're talking about chasing that ceiling, chasing that upside for the end of the year in particular, I think that Hopkins should have that in his range of outcomes to turn back into a top 5 fantasy wide receiver. So we'll take him as our wide receiver 3. I mean, stacking him with DK Metcalf, Tyreek Hill, it's not the end of the world. Jayan says Akers over Breece Hall. Yikes. Of course, in a dynasty format, it would be yikes. The difference with Cam Akers here is you're looking at a running back playing in a significantly better offense. I mean, if we're talking about just red zone opportunities in Los Angeles and overall plays actually had in Los Angeles versus New York this upcoming season, I think I'm going to continue to take Cam Akers over Breece Hall. Issue with Breece Hall in this year in particular is just that New York Jets offense. I'm fine. I love Breece Hall at the 411. Don't get me wrong. I love Breece Hall at the 411. I'm just speaking in reference why I'm taking Cam Akers over him. Okay, so Elijah Mitchell, Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton. Okay, yeah, so this team goes out of their way. They get the stack with the Denver Broncos there with Judy and Sutton. So I guess we don't have the Kyler stack in our range of outcomes either. For looking at wide receivers, I don't really like any of the receivers in this range. Should we reach on someone? We're going to reach on Rashad Bateman. I think by taking Bateman here, maybe a little too early, when he's very, very similar. Like the difference between Rashad Bateman and Elijah Moore for me is simply non-existent. I think we probably are getting a little more unique with our build, which is something that we should be looking to chase. Yeah, I like Bateman because all those wide receivers are in the same exact tier for me. Might as well get Bateman here if he's going to make us a little more unique. Jesus says, thoughts on Noah Fant dynasty-wise? With Noah Fant, love the talent, but once you get traded and valued as a throw-in by the Denver Broncos, the team that knows you best, I think your chances of hitting, especially going to a very bad situation in Seattle where you had DK Metcalf, you have Lockett soaking up targets, and Drew Lock is the quarterback, I think you have to lower your expectations dramatically with Noah Fant. Sarah says, I am so scared of Christian McCaffrey. Has killed me twice in the last 2 years. I completely understand that. And that's why a lot of people aren't going to be willing to take McCaffrey at the 102. I am personally just going to be biting the bullet because with Christian McCaffrey, as I've said before, I mean, this is a running back that does have a higher ceiling than pretty much anybody else that you're going to find. And if we're talking about chasing that ceiling with McCaffrey, if you're winning $2 million, if McCaffrey manages to stay healthy and average close to 29 fantasy points per game, where he was close to 30 in 2019, you simply have no shot at that first place prize if you don't get McCaffrey. Okay, so Jalen Hurts goes at the 608. Love this Jalen Hurts selection, considering the fact that they got A.J. Brown in the 3rd round here. I really like this team. I'm personally not a big Michael Pittman fan. I most likely would have instead gone with either DJ Moore or, I probably would have gone DJ Moore or Breece Hall here over Michael Pittman. But outside of that, I mean, they're letting players fall to them. They got Darren Waller at a great value according to his ADP. They got Jalen Hurts where his ADP is, and they were able to stack him with a player that fell in A.J. Brown. Okay, so Darnold Mooney goes to the 612. Yeah, Darnold Mooney was a wide receiver that I took over Rashad Bateman in a draft last week. That was just a massive mistake on my part. And if you look, we had Lamar Jackson on that team. But it is what it is. You live and you learn. And you have your first rookie wide receiver off the board. You have Treylon Burks at the 703. Like I said, I personally, in these drafts, probably would take Treylon Burks as a wide receiver 1 just for this upcoming season. But that has nothing to do with the talent level of Drake London. Like, trust me, I love me some London. I think he's the better wide receiver. I think you also have a better wide receiver in Garrett Wilson at the same time. It's just the situation is so much better for this immediate year for Burks. Okay, so Neo says, are we liking the Seattle wide receivers more if Baker or Jimmy Garoppolo go there, staying far away if Locke is a starter? 100%. Yeah, you have to like the wide receivers more if you get real quick. I'm sorry to just cut off there. This team that had the stack with A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, they passed on Devontae Smith to take Drake London instead. I don't like that selection. I think there you probably have to complete that double stack and you have to get Smith. Speaking of stacks, are we going to end up having to bite the bullet and take Lockett here? A.J. Dillon goes. Dillon would have been the player I would have taken otherwise. If you ask me who I prefer between Lockett and Garrett Wilson, I'm probably taking Garrett Wilson. But when we have Metcalf, I think this is a spot where we probably have no option. We probably just need to somehow assume the Seattle Seahawks offense exceed expectations. And we take Tyler Lockett as our wide receiver 5. Keep in mind, Lockett will have more valuable in this best ball format when you don't have to predict when his spike weeks are going to come than he would in a regular fantasy football league. So we'll take Lockett here as our wide receiver 5. We're loading up on receiver, which I love doing in this format. You're going to see that the wide receiver position drops off very soon, very soon. Okay. I think we're probably... Okay, so does Garrett Wilson go here? You know what? We actually probably are going to have a quote-unquote reach. We're reaching. Devin Singletary goes to the 802. I love me some Garrett Wilson. I truly do. But when we already have 5 wide receivers on this roster, I think Dallas Goedert has to slide down as well with the addition of A.J. Brown, knowing that volume A.J. Brown's going to have in Philadelphia. I think we probably just have to continue to bet that the Seattle Seahawks offense exceed expectations. I think it's a little unlikely, but if you're looking at us getting Metcalf in the 4th and then Tyler Lockett falling 7 picks behind his ADP as well, that's how this draft board has fallen. And if we're drafting over 200 teams, we just have to make these correlated bets. So we're going to take Kenneth Walker as our running back 3 at the 803. I don't think Kenneth Walker is going to be a great pass catcher at the next level. I think that will handicap his ceiling. I do think he's going to be a great first and second down running back. However, obviously, Rashad Penny currently healthy, but Rashad Penny, as a player that I've loved for a very long time, just simply has never been able to stay healthy outside of a 5-game stretch at the very end of 2021. So we'll take Walker at the 803. Okay. So let's go through. Mark says Rodgers is available. Yeah, I'm not going to take Rodgers there. whenever we're taking these quarterbacks, I would prefer to be looking for these stacks. Now, the issue is I don't even know the stack we could go for. Maybe we get Tua Tagovailoa a little bit later on. We get Tua and possibly try to double stack as well with a player like Mike Gesicki. Chris Olave goes to the 805. Olave goes over Garrett Wilson here. Speaking on possibly the New York Jets disappointing. Damn. Rodgers finally goes to the 806. That was a team that I believe doesn't have a Green Bay Packer on their roster. Who took Devontae? No. Oh my gosh. I am so dumb. Never mind. Devontae Adams no longer in Green Bay. Yeah, this team with Rodgers at wide receiver has Amari, Michael Thomas, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sky Moore goes at the 807. Sky Moore over Garrett Wilson. I could not do that. I understand the landing spot. He's a good prospect as well. But dear God, Dallas Goedert finally goes at the 809. Dak Prescott at the 810. This team with Jalen Hurts continues to stack the Philadelphia Eagles. They grab Miles Sanders in the 8th round. I like that. If they would have gone Devontae Smith, just go all in, making a bet that Jalen Hurts could finish as the quarterback one in fantasy, it'd be very interesting. I don't think I've ever seen Dak Prescott fall that far. Dak Prescott fell 20 picks further than Trey Lance. Garrett Wilson finally off the board at the 811 by Zach. Zach in the chat, I'm sure, going to come out and flex on us all right now. He's able to pull Garrett Wilson at the 811. Oh, that is a fantastic selection. You have Treylon Burks at pick 75, Garrett Wilson pick 95, 20 picks later. Robert Woods goes to the 812. Zach says it was hard for him to pass on Stafford. If you want Stafford, he's making it back to you here. Caden says Dak is garbage. Yeah, Dak doesn't have the rushing upside that he used to. That is true. Dak does not have the rushing upside he's used to, and he's missing his wide receiver one. Kadarius Toney at the 902. Zach coming out here, faking us out, saying he needed to go Stafford. Clearly does not listen to himself. We have Michael Gallup after Kadarius Toney. Wide receivers 100% getting soaked up. We'll see if we have anybody making it back to us in the 9th, but we still have yet to go quarterback. We have yet to go tight end as well. Our team so far, we have Joe Mixon, Cam Akers, Kenneth Walker, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman, and Tyler Lockett. Ooh, I like these players making it back to us. I'm assuming that this team here, is it Mr. Revolt? Which team decided to go Allen? Yeah, I'm assuming that here, Atta Dynasty decides to go Knox. No, Knox goes beforehand. Ooh. We're getting Deshaun Watson here. We're getting Watson. Call this the all suspension team. We're going Deshaun Watson. I know we don't have a stack. It doesn't really matter. We'll get the stack with Tua later on if he falls. Is Tua already off the board? There's no way Tua's off the board, right? Let me star Deshaun Watson. I just want to see what Tua's ADP is. Tua's ADP is 118. Okay, so Tua's right here. So there's a chance that Tua does make it back to us. I mean, I'm not taking him in the 10th. There's a small chance he makes it back to us in the 11th. We're going to go Watson here. With Watson, he does have some rushing upside. I don't necessarily think that you need to stack Watson. And if we want to, there are some unique plays that we could actually have at the very end of the draft. Maybe we go with someone like Anthony Schwartz in the last round, just as the field stretching option in Cleveland, saying, hell, if we have a Watson blow-up week in that playoff setting, when we need to be chasing those stacks and chasing the highest ceiling possible, maybe Anthony Schwartz comes away with 3 receptions, 150 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. Now, Russell Gage, pick 911. Russell Gage is a player that has been going higher in these drafts than I expected him to. Obviously, you got Tom Brady. Obviously, you have targets left over there whenever you're missing out on Antonio Brown. But it is interesting. Christian Watson goes to the 1002. I would have loved to get me some Christian Watson here. Let's slide this over. Okay, Rondale Moore, Chase Claypool. Kind of like a couple of these selections. You know what? No. We're going to go Rondale Moore. We're going Rondale Moore. I prefer Claypool to player. I prefer Kareem Hunt. There are a couple other values on this board that I think I maybe even prefer a running back like Alexander Madison. When we have Hopkins, however, I think that we can go through and we can continue to build in that correlation as we're always looking for. I didn't want to reach for it too much. We did take Rondale Moore above his ADP, but the offenses that we're essentially betting on with this team, of course, I would have much rather had these bets if we had their quarterbacks as well, but we have the Arizona Cardinals stacked with DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore. And yes, you can stack wide receivers together to create that correlation, betting on an overall offense to have more efficiency than you expect. Without their quarterback, it's not as effective without their quarterback, but you can still do it. And we also have DK Metcalf, Lockett, and Kenneth Walker. Don't love the players with the Seattle, but I did like the value we got them at. Okay. Mark coming out says, Zach Ertz. I'm not taking Zach Ertz. They went out there, got the best tight end in this year's draft, of course. Trey McBride's probably not going to have a large role year one based on what we've historically seen with those rookie tight ends. But still, I think to take Zach Ertz at this point over someone like Chase Claypool, I personally wouldn't agree with. I mean, I love tight end values that we're getting on later on. Like maybe I am irrationally high on guys like Cole Kmet, like Irv Smith Jr., like Rob Gronkowski. But if we're not getting a Travis Kelce, I find myself just completely punting the position and just going through and taking these guys much later on. Now, Tua does end up going at the 10-11. See if Zach really had a reason to take Tua. Okay, so he had Jalen Waddle. That does make sense. Richard says, what do you think will happen with Rashad Penny this year? Realistically, and this is coming from someone who has been way too high on Rashad Penny in 2018, in 2019, in 2020. I was the guy screaming that Rashad Penny was a more talented running back than Chris Carson, that Chris Carson was a bum, that Rashad Penny was the guy you wanted. And I'm not saying that to go, oh, look at me, I was right. No, of course I was wrong. I was an idiot. I've been wrong in Rashad Penny for years. But one thing I've learned about Rashad Penny is he has the talent, he has the ability, he just doesn't have the ability to stay available for the Seattle Seahawks. For that reason, I'm personally off on Rashad Penny. That's why I'm taking Kenneth Walker over him. Even though in another draft that I previously had, I did see someone take Rashad Penny over Kenneth Walker. Like the gap between these two players, I promise you, in the majority of your drafts, is not going to be nearly this high. Okay, Zach also goes through and gets Gesicki as well. Thank God we have Watson. Okay, so we have 3 running backs, 6 receivers, no tight end. Here, Blackstar can't take a tight end. They already have 2. They have Kyle Pitts and TJ Hawkinson. MT Revolt has George Kittle. I would be surprised if they take one, to be honest. Dynasty maybe goes tight end. They only have Zach Ertz. Ooh, Alexander Madison goes. Madison would have been a player that we were considering taking at the 11-10. Ooh, come on. Van Jefferson at the 11-08. Of course, he should be falling down boards, but he should not be falling this far. Pat Freiermuth, we were saying it at the beginning of the offseason that this was a tight end that should not be valued nearly as highly as if you compared him to someone like Cole Kmet. I mean, but yes, and they add George Pickens as well, but they also get a quarterback upgrade. ADP 118. We needed a tight end. We're getting him 130. I'm excited about that. Gronk goes directly after. I've been taking Gronk in a lot of these drafts, but it's usually because Gronk goes 2 rounds after Freiermuth. Okay. So after this, we got to calm down. Figure out where we're going next. And I will say, if I was only drafting one league, I'm probably continuing to double down, and I'm probably just taking Cole Kmet. But of course, I can't take Cole Kmet in every single draft. Maybe we do take a second tight end here, though. Denver did select a tight end out of UCLA in the 3rd round that does have some receiving upside. I didn't really love the price of Alberto before. Like if I had to submit my rankings right now, I'm ranking Cole Kmet over Albert O, But the issue is we're doing 200 of these drafts. I can't draft based on my rankings in every single one, or I'm going to end up with all the same players. And if we get a Travis Etienne or we get a Cam Akers going down last year, and you know how many leagues I had them in, all of a sudden we were just losing out on money. So we are going to take Albert O here at the 1203. Please let me know what you think of that selection. It's interesting to see that this team here decided to pass on Albert O when they went out of their way and they got the double stack with Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy. Longer says that the UCLA tight end is a stud. Hate that the Broncos got him. He was productive. Jets says, where do you think Breece Hall's ADP is going to be? Right now he's going at the 4-5 turn. I think that actually slides up to the beginning of the 4th round. DJ Chark, Jahan Dotson, Jacoby Myers. So we get some wide receivers going off. I already had 6 receivers on this team. I'm not too worried about seeing these wide receivers go. At this point, though, whenever we take tight ends, whenever we go back-to-back Pat Freiermuth and Alberto, we're hoping we can see more tight ends go off. I'm done at the tight end position. We're probably going to need to end up, I don't want to say we have to take 3 quarterbacks. We'll see where the value lies. We still need some running back help on this team. We only have 4, I believe. No, we only have 3. We have Joe Mixon, Cam Akers, and Kenneth Walker. Okay, so this is probably going to be a 5 running back build. This is going to be a 2 tight end build. I think we can potentially have 3 QBs here. Corey says, do you think Ertz will compete for targets with McBride this season? I think if I had a bet who was going to be the tight end 1 in Arizona, I would say Zach Ertz, just based historically on how hard it is for rookie tight ends to get on the field and have a role right away. And I'm essentially making that bet when we're taking Albert O here, saying that he's going to fight off the rookie tight end. And Trey McBride is a very good prospect. He is a very good prospect. I wouldn't mind taking Trey McBride at the very end of these drafts. I do think you have to have Zach Ertz over him, however, but of course in Dynasty, you prefer McBride. Okay, so we have Cole Kmet finally at the 12-12. Like I said, I prefer Kmet over Albert O. I truly do. It's just if we're looking at ADP and we're getting Albert O, like 10 picks after his ADP, I'm not going to be able to reach 10 picks on Cole Kmet in every single draft. Maybe we should have gone Jahan Dotson, though. The issue is just the tight ends that would have made it back to us on the way back around. Higbee goes to the 13-01. Good for us. 100% good for us. Let's see who's still on the board here. Isaiah Spiller falling like a rock. I expect Isaiah Spiller's ADP to continue to fall. Like he's fallen 20 picks in his ADP at this point. Irv Smith Jr. Okay, if Irv Smith Jr. were to make it back to us, I'm not taking him, but it will 100% cement the fact that that Albert O selection was horrendous. And what we should have done instead is we should have just gone with the receiver. We should have gone with Jahan Dotson. But we'll see if Irv Smith Jr. actually does make it back. Oh, please, someone take him. Don't make me feel that bad about myself. Julio Jones goes at pick 147. Tim Patrick, 148. Interesting. Every team in front of us. David. I wanted David Bell. I didn't want to bring up his name. We wanted the stack. Do we end up with Isaiah Spiller? Do we end up with Dameon Pierce? Devontae Parker goes. At receiver, we have Hill, Metcalf, Hopkins, Bateman, Lockett, Moore. Not too concerned with our wide receiver position. Someone take Irv Smith Jr., please. Please. Dameon Pierce goes to 1307. He would have been my selection if he made it to us. Isaiah Spiller goes. Crap. KJ Osborne goes at pick 153. Oh my God. We made a massive mistake taking Alberto, ladies and gentlemen. That was horrendous. Hopefully we learn this lesson. Hopefully we internalize it and we can avoid it going forward. We're just going to go quarterback. The issue is we don't have any potential stacks here. We don't have any potential stacks. This team here only has one quarterback. It is Patrick Mahomes. They go Ryan. I was looking at the tier QB drop. With our 14th round selection, we could have ended up with someone like Mac Jones. Corey Davis goes to the 13-12. Obviously, Corey Davis plummeting with the addition of Garrett Wilson. God, I messed up that Albert O selection so bad. Like, if I just created my own rankings and ignored ADP, I would probably have Irv Smith Jr. over Albert O. And if you're looking at the wide receivers in this range, like Odell Beckham Jr. versus Jahan Dotson, dear God, our team would be so much better. But now we are done quarterback, done tight end. We're only running back receiver exclusively. We have some quarterbacks going here that is good for our team. Pick 159, 20 picks behind his ADP. Are we taking James Robinson here? Let's take James Robinson. You can nickname your drafts on Underdog Fantasy. You can go through, name them. And we will name this draft the Torn Achilles draft. We'll be pairing up James Robinson as well as Cam Akers next to each other, making a bet saying, oh, hey, maybe modern medicine can fix these easier than what we thought. Flago says, just got in. How's the team looking? Honestly, it's been tough. It's been tough out here, my man. Let's go through. Let's look at this team. Mixon, 110, completely fine with it. Tyreek at the 203. It sounds gross. I don't like Tyreek Hill, but the thing is, if I were to go back and try to change the selection, I don't even know where we would change it to. Like, I can't really complain with this pick just because you're in such a dead zone. Cam Akers, 310. Same thing here. Like, it's gross. You're just in the dead zone. DK Metcalf, 403. I'm not a big fan of Metcalf. That's value, though. Hopkins at the 510. Bateman at the 603. Lockett at the 710. Lockett, not a big fan, as we already said, but in a best ball format when we already have Metcalf on the roster, like the fact just going through and getting him. Walker, we reached on just slightly, but that was because we already had both Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I'm honestly happy with that selection, just making that concentrated bet on that Seattle Seahawks offense, even though it's a gross offense, but of course you're getting these players in a massive discount because of so. Then we're getting Deshaun Watson at the end of the 9th. Really like that pick. Rondell Moore at the beginning of the 10th. It is what it is. I prefer Chase Claypool in a vacuum. However, whenever we have DeAndre Hopkins on the same team, probably prefer just going ahead and getting another Arizona pass catcher. Pat Freiermuth at the end of the 11th. Love it. This is where the draft ended. This is where we messed up the draft. Some of those other picks previously, I could see people arguing with us that maybe we made a mistake here or there. Honestly, I think looking back, I wouldn't really change anything. This is the selection that ruined everything. Albert O at the 1203. We were worried about the tight end run happening, which it did, but Irv Smith Jr. made it to the 14th. So if we would have instead gone with either Jacoby Myers or Jahan Dotson here, our wide receiver 7 would have been significantly better. And we would have had a comparable tight end too. I even maybe prefer Irv Smith Jr. The only reason I take Albert O here is for diversification purposes and to try to go through and take a player maybe with a little bit more of a unique build. It is what it is. It is what it is. And honestly, you know what we should have done? This was even a mistake taking Albert O in the first place. Like, if I wanted to go tight end here, sure. We should have probably gone Noah Fant regardless. Like we already said, we're making that concentrated bet on the Seattle Seahawks offense. So, I'm sorry if I seem bummed now, but this is why we do these drafts. This is why we do these drafts. So we learn. That way, by the time we get to August, I promise you there's not going to be a single drafter better than us on this planet. We're reviewing these drafts, figuring out where we went wrong. Alberto, 1203. Not great. Okay, Logan Thomas at the 1503. Thank God we get some tight ends off the board. And we're only going to go one more running back. We're going to go one more running back. Possibly one more QB, dependent on what ends up falling to us. Probably not. We're probably just stacking up wide receivers for the best ball format. AJ Green, Nico Collins, Curtis Samuel, Daniel Jones goes to the 1505. I am happy with our Tannehill selection in the 13th, to be honest. Like, if you're asking me Tannehill versus Matt Ryan, Jameis Winston, Jared Goff, Daniel Jones, I do have Tannehill in a higher tier. And we just passed 100 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping a like on the stream. I really do appreciate it. And also, if you have not done so already, please go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK so you can come get into some of these drafts with me. You can take advantage of us making massive mistakes like going with Alberto where we did. But let's move on. Let's go through and select a wide receiver that fits our stack. I am not a massive fan of the fact they had David Bell. But what I can say is David Bell is a completely different wide receiver than Donovan Peoples-Jones. Donovan Peoples-Jones plays on the outside. He is more so a deep threat, where David Bell is operating exclusively out of the slot and close to the line of scrimmage. So we are going to be taking Donovan Peoples-Jones here. Unsure if we would have made this selection if we didn't have Deshaun Watson. But when we have Watson, we have to try to find a player that has access to a 25-point ceiling for that fantasy football playoff stretch once we're in the tournament that could just pop off with Watson. Like if you ask me Alec Pierce or Donovan Peoples-Jones, you probably have to go Alec Pierce, but it is what it is. We're going to go ahead and get that stack. Okay, wide receivers. Is there a teardrop here? I think there is. Now, Marvin Jones is the most boring selection on the planet. Let me make sure nothing has changed. He is the most boring selection on the planet. However, there is simply nobody in Jacksonville. You know what? I'm not doing it. F it. I'm not taking Marvin Jones here. The man's 32 years old. He's been in the NFL for legitimately a decade. We're going to go Laviska Shenault. We're going to take another shot at a receiver that's unexciting. Let's scroll this down. And we possibly, you know what we could do? We could galaxy brain this. Last round pick. Hear me out. Maybe I'm just bringing this up for funsies. Let me know what y'all think of this possibility. Last round pick, Baker Mayfield. Saying, hell, if Watson gets suspended for the first 4 weeks, he gets suspended, we have a quarterback. But if that happens, what happens then if they trade Baker to Seattle? Maybe I'm galaxy braining it. Maybe we're overthinking it. But let me know what y'all are thinking. Jane says, is this Best Ball Mania 3? Yes, it is. Okay, Brian Robinson goes in the 16th. I really like that Brian Robinson selection. I really, really like it. I mean, this is a running back that is comparable to Alexander Madison in that he could take over as a 3-down player and have a role in the receiving game if an injury were to occur in front of him. Now, he shouldn't be drafted anywhere close to Alexander Madison because A, we've seen it from Alexander Madison, and B, at the same time, with Brian Robinson, he would have to deal with J.D. McKissic in the case of an Antonio Gibson injury. But I'm concerned with Antonio Gibson. I mean, Antonio Gibson's a running back that led the NFL in fumbles last year, and with this Washington coaching staff going out of their way and signing J.D. McKissic back to this team this offseason and drafting Brian Robinson in the top 100 picks of the NFL draft, I am slightly concerned. Now you have Donta Foreman at the 1608. James Washington at the 1610. Zach goes Cedric Wilson, just bringing in a Miami wide receiver for his Tua Tagovailoa triple stack now with Gesicki, Waddle, and Cedric Wilson. Nick says, can you show the top of the board? Yes, sir. I will do that right now. You can pause it, screenshot it, do whatever you want with it. Let me scroll down. And of course, I'm going to be getting probably, what, you think we've already done 30 of these this offseason if you include the ones we did at the beginning of the year? So we're probably going to get another 170, probably another 200 of these going this offseason. So make sure you go sign up with promo code FLOCK. Get prepared to hop into some of these drafts with us. Ooh, this team here, let me point this out. I'm praying that you are not in the live stream with us. And the reason I am saying this is because maybe there's a small chance you are in the stream. I'm just wanting to let you know that in an underdog best ball format, if you want to have any shot at all, I'm talking about this team at the 101 here. I'm talking about the team at the 101. You have to roster significantly more receivers than this. The most quarterbacks and tight ends that you can roster are going to be 3 of each position. And if you roster 3 quarterbacks, you're only going to want to roster 2 tight ends and vice versa. Here, this team took Kyler, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. At tight end, you go Cole Kmet, Tyler Higbee, Hayden Hurst. The wide receiver core here is made up of Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Darnell Mooney, Robert Woods, and AJ Green. You simply, even if you go wide receiver in this last round, it doesn't matter if you hit on every single one of those picks. It doesn't matter if you were very smart and you identified the Cooper Kupp of last season. You identified Jonathan Taylor. you have a 0% chance of winning if that's going to be your exact roster construction. Kendrick Bourne goes. Okay, we're going to go with our guy. We're going to go. Actually, no, we need a running back, don't we? Yeah, no, we're drafting 5 running backs in this league. Since we have Cam Akers, I'm not going to go Kyron Williams. I think Kyron Williams is fine here based on his receiving upside. Instead, I'm going to go with the running back that does check some boxes. I mean, drafted in the top 100 picks in the NFL draft. We're going to go with him at the 17-10. The issue I can see with this running back room is maybe we don't have enough production at the beginning of the season. If we have Kenneth Walker starting slow, Tyrion Davis-Price starting slow, and James Robinson out with the torn Achilles, it's a lot to ask for just Joe Mixon and Cam Akers to carry us through. J.D. McKissick goes the 17-11. Sony Michel at the 18-01. So here, we're probably going to go receiver. I will let you know who I like, and I will let you know who we're going to draft instead. If I just had to rank these players and who scores the most points this upcoming season, who has the highest ceiling, I'm going to go KJ Hamler. But for a couple reasons. A, because with your last round selection, if you can take someone that's not being drafted in every single league, that is going to help you have a slightly different roster than most in the tournament style. And B, at the same time, we have Rashad Bateman. And C, at the same time, I used to see this guy at the rec all the time at the University of Texas. We are going to be going Devon Duvernay here at pick 207. He'll be drafted in a lot of these, but not every single one, where KJ Hamler will be drafted in every single one, so his ownership percentage will be dramatically higher. And I think that they are comparable if we're just talking about their projections this upcoming season. Okay, so let's go through and show off this draft board. Zach says, never let it rest. Killed this draft. Okay, so let's go through and let's check their draft out. Chase at the 104, completely fine. Like Chubb at the 209. Fournette at the 304 is intriguing now that you have Rashad White there. I would personally probably go Keenan Allen instead with the addition of Rashad White. DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, really like both selections. Yeah, I think I would prefer Keenan Allen and Breece Hall compared to DJ Moore and Leonard Fournette, though. Joe Burrow at the 609 for the stack. Brandon Cooks at the 704. Really like the Brandon Cooks pick. Dallas Goedert at the 809. Dallas Goedert. Yeah, I guess it's fine. I do want to lower him down with A.J. Brown being there. Tyler Boyd with the double stack at good value as well. Melvin Gordon. Michael Carter. The running backs 3 and 4. Noah Fant. Tim Patrick. John Mechie. Curtis Samuel. Davis Mills. Brevin Jordan. Yeah, the Davis Mills double stack with John Mechie and Brevin Jordan. Yeah, I really like that team as well. I completely agree with you there, Zach. But I think we should be closing to the end of this live stream. Yeah, KJ Hamler, Terrace Marshall, Sterling Shepard to go right after us. I just want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. I truly, truly appreciate you. I'm going to try to do this as much as I can. Please, if y'all enjoy these, I genuinely mean it. The easiest way to let me know is go down there, drop a like. Go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Get into these drafts with me. We're going to be doing these every day by the time we get to August. Maybe I start a little bit earlier than I expected. But of course, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you, and I truly hope you have a great day.